What's up, Worcester? This is Jacqueline from W.S.R Recovery and Wellness Coaching, and this is episode 9 of Crossroad Conversations. And again, I'll say it, I am excited for this conversation because I really do think that you are going to be able to get something that fills your soul, that allows you to be truly authentic yourself and give you a different way to view how we walk in our own journey. So I'm here welcoming Miss Nicole.
Hey,
Hi,
Jackie. So thrilled
welcome.
to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm thankful that you decided to come on and have these conversations with us. Like Crossroad Conversation is really, that conversation where we can talk about what was and what is and how you journeyed through that and what it looks like for you. So we'll start off with just like, what do you do? What is your title, your role? And then we'll go from there.
Okay, sure. I'd be happy to share. I am Nicole Kittredge. I'm a mortgage professional. Fell into this career almost 22 years ago. So it's been a blessing helping people, what I like to say is build wealth through real estate. So that's what I do. And yeah.
Yeah, love that. So 22 years ago, when you're seeking a career, was this something that you always like wanted to do?
No.
How did you fall into that?
So this is a little bit tied to the journey I'm going to talk about. So when I was 22, I was a foster parent, and it wasn't by choice. My father's from 11 kids. He's on the older end of the 11, and my Nana took in many more. And my uncle was on the younger end. So he went to jail. His wife was not well. And my sister, my middle sister, who I was living with at the time, was on a list to get the kids when he went to jail. And her and I were living together. So we became foster parents. And at the time, I was working for a bank who was doing tuition reimbursement, which was amazing. And they were very inflexible with hours. It was DSS back then. They'd be like, we need to see the kids Thursday at 4, and I'd have to take the time off the bank, and then they'd want me to make it up. So someone was like, why don't you try mortgages? So I got in for the flexibility, and I never left.
And was it still at the bank? You just transferred I
was working for Middlesex Savings Bank, and I went to work for a bank called Beneficial Finance. And that's actually a terrible bank. I found out after I only lasted a year there. They used to charge 4.76 points in every loan, which is a lot of fees. It was a bad company.
Okay.
But I quickly moved through. I worked for a broker for 3 years after that, learning the industry. And then I worked for a company where I was in real estate offices for 5 years, which was a great learning experience. And
it's so interesting because I was just, full disclosure, on therapy, and we were talking about financial insecurity. And I have had, long stemming financial insecurity from, forever. But we were, talking about buying a new car and like all of that came up into that.
yes.
So it's interesting to be, you said 22 years old already in the banking industry. And how did that shape you? And because I'm still like, who gets this information? Like,
Right.
where does it come from? Like, and for you to be like 22 in the banking, I'm like, I really like had a bank account.
The banking itself was like a very structured career, and they did tuition reimbursement. So that's why I landed in that field, because I wanted to go to college. My parents were like, sorry, we don't have any money. And they moved to Florida on me. So I had to figure it out myself. The mortgage side of it is really hard to get into. And I think what kept me going through all the years is once you've been had a little bit of food insecurity, you never want to feel that way again. And I knew the career could be fruitful, and I'm not one to quit. I finished college, even though it took me forever.
Yeah.
Working full time and going at night. And I stuck with this career because I just am stubborn.
Yeah.
But I had to have roommates for a lot of years. My husband also was building a business. So it's something that I knew my parents kind of got success in real estate. They bought a 2-family when they were young, and that's how they were able to acquire wealth. So I knew it was something I wanted to do, and kind of had to, if I wanted to break out of where I was.
Yeah. And did you feel like, so, and this is literally the conversation, so I'm thinking of like the ways of, did your parents give you also the information, or was it more the survival of they wanted to like, they had to figure it out and they were building, and then were they able to pass that on to you, or did you feel like you still had to figure it out on your own?
A little bit of both. So my dad definitely was instilling lessons in me.
Yeah.
He did not want me to live the way some of my family does. So I have cousins that were grandparents at the same time I had birthed my first children, living in the system and abusing it. He also they raised three very independent. So I'm from three sisters. We were all extremely independent. So yeah, I would say it was a little bit of definite survival mode, and in it being instilled. My parents were more like a roof over your head, food in your mouth kind of parents, and they were just doing the best job that they could with what they had.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they raised three very independent women, so they did something right.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it was just because I was just having this conversation and like trying to filter through like, what does that look like? Like, who are we having these conversations with? Who's able to like guide us, right? When you kind of have like, I parent myself, right? Like I had to like get my driver's license and my, permit. Like I didn't have necessarily a parent because, my mom was a single mom. So she was just, she was just laser focused on what she had, roof over your head, food in your mouth, and that kind of, so trying to break those cycles and trying to understand now that I'm 40, which I feel like I'm like trying not to like label myself as like this late bloomer, like, oh, I'm like, it's over for me. Like, I'm like, I can still.
So many women take off in their 40s.
Well, that's the thing. I took a class from you. You and another woman did like just this beginners, like, what does it look like to even obtain like a mortgage, right? Or like look at the thing, and having that, what stuck out to me was you were talking about having that nest egg. And I was like, well, I'll see you in like 2 years for this conversation again. But how has your journey as, the mortgage broker, like, what did that look like? The transition you mentioned about being a foster parent and like having a transition. So what did that look like in maneuvering through that process?
I think I fell into buying my first home because I was in the mortgage industry. Like that's ultimately what propelled me. And I joined at a time where it was really easy to get mortgages. So it was just luck, I think, as well as wanting to do it.
Yeah.
My first mortgage was a Nina Nay, which is a no income, no asset, no employment. They don't exist anymore. I had a heartbeat and a credit score. So I bought a house when they were giving mortgages to everyone.
Okay.
As far as the journey, I mean, I'm very grateful I did it. I just put my head down and worked, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I never joined the industry to make $1 million. I just wanted to help people and hopefully have a point where I could have a house that I owned. Yeah. And now 20 years later, like I see a light at the end of the tunnel where it's actually going to be paid off, which is amazing. And I want that for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is, to be able to pour that into someone, like, and to see, them reap that benefit must be rewarding also in that journey.
Definitely. It's my favorite part of the job.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that it seems so, it does, I think especially if you come from certain insecurities and you're thinking about what does it look like to build wealth if you haven't seen wealth, right? And like those certain conversations, that it makes it harder to even, there's a lot of shame, I think, that stems from like even thinking about it, and but having conversations and kind of knowing like, what do you need?
Yeah.
What does it look like? How can we, set you up to even, I think, even shift your mindset to like, this can be, also for you.
I'm going to invite you on Wednesday, April 29th at the Parkview Room here in Worcester. We're doing a first-time buyer seminar where we're going to focus a lot on the down payment assistance and the grants, because there are zero down programs.
Okay.
It's a competitive market. You sat in on Jessie Dillon, who's like this rock star.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
bought like 50 units in 4 years.
Yeah.
So she's much more high level
Yeah.
investing, which is way above my head. But there are opportunities, and I think getting educated is with anything in my life is what's helped me the most. With the sobriety, like learning about it, listening to podcasts about it, reading books about it, listening to other people's experiences. You can do that with almost anything.
Yeah.
Everything's free today too.
I mean,
on the internet, really.
Yeah.
You can look up how to change a tire, how to buy a house.
Yeah. And how to maneuver. And I think that's like, you just need people willing to like share the information and not that keeping energy. Like, where is the resource? So we'll definitely talk about, that event, is that open to the public? It's
open to the public. We are asking for donations to keeping Worcester warm.
Okay.
But people don't have to give them.
Okay.
So it's going to be a free event with dinner.
Okay. Perfect.
And that's on my website, which is nicolesloans.com.
Okay.
/ events.
We'll link that.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned, again, we'll go back to being a foster parent at 22, which seems like, you mentioned college, so you're trying to get into college, or you already went into college. Like, what did that start to look like in this, like?
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the sobriety journey and how all that ties together. I feel like my sobriety, when I was thinking about it, has been in 2 phases.
Okay.
So the first phase was probably from like, this is awful to say, but in elementary school and definitely middle school, we were like smoking bud, smoking weed. Mm-hmm. And for me, marijuana was definitely a gateway drug. And I avoided drinking for a while, but once I started drinking, I was like bellying up to the bar every day at 18, 19, 20. And my parents, as I mentioned, moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. My middle sister had moved out, and I was responsible for getting my youngest sister off to college. So I think part of the reason for the drinking was abandonment issues, being overwhelmed with responsibilities. I had wanted to go to San Diego State University, but my parents were like, we don't have any money and we're moving. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I got to go get a job that has tuition reimbursement. But by the time I was 20, I was kind of done with a lot of the partying. I got out of an unhealthy relationship into a pretty healthy one. And the first way I was able to kind of knock off all the really bad stuff was with an accountability partner. Mm-hmm. So I had a boyfriend at the time. We both wanted to kind of start living life better, and we were successful with that. So it was like a perfect lineup to becoming a foster parent, because by the time I got the kids, I was in a really good space, if that makes sense. So just meant to be. I didn't sign up to be a foster parent. Mm-hmm. It was not anything I was looking to do, but it came in my lap. And just like I said, my parents did the best job with what they had. I did the best job with what I had at the time. It was a lot on my plate. Yeah. And so my cousins were with us for about a year. And when my uncle got out of jail, thank you for your donation to Fresh Start, because my husband and I had gotten together and furnished an apartment for him. So I know how important it is when people need to start fresh. And I stayed in close contact with my cousins for years, especially the girl. When I had my firstborn child at 30, she actually moved back in with us. So I didn't have any girls myself, birth them, but I got to do prom and driver's ed with her, which was really cool. She's now in her 30s, married, has her own stepchild and a business. So she's doing amazing. But I think it was just a progression of being in the right mind space to be able to take that on and say yes, because I had kind of gone through, I was like a wild woman back in the day. I had motorcycles. It's amazing. I'm sitting here.
I was leather jacket. I love it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so through my 20s, I was pretty responsible building 2 businesses, my husband's and I, paying a mortgage, having roommates because we couldn't afford it. Okay. So we had roommates for a lot of years. That's called house hacking. Okay. When you buy a house and you rent a room out to someone. And somewhere in my 30s, after I had my second child at 34, I was really starting to question what alcohol was doing for me. Because as I've learned from the science, our brains create these neural pathways that are the easy button, even though they're not good for us. So I started really thinking about like wanting to drink less. I was able to do, 30 days to healthy living, which is like 30 days no alcohol. I was running races. And then 2020 came. And I used to say that the pandemic broke me, but now I say it made me. So I'm a mortgage professional, as you know, and in January of 2020, I closed 0 loans, which means 0 paycheck. Okay. So we have to do an amazing job for our clients because we have to get referrals to pay our mortgage and keep the lights on and whatnot. In March of 2020, I closed 39 loans, which is like a career high. I honestly never want to be that busy again. I also got rear-ended and got really bad whiplash, and they closed the schools. I could do a whole nother rabbit hole about what a bad decision that was to close all the schools for that long. Luckily, I was in a period where I was making really good money because the mortgage industry, I worked 7 days a week for 2.5 years straight. Like we were really busy. And I do remember after being in a good space, kind of like when I was 20 and I was doing really well, like around 2018, 19, I was doing really well. And then 2020, I was back to like drinking to cope between 7 and 9 every night, having a cocktail, then waking up at 3 in the morning and being like, I feel like crap. My sleep is interrupted. So I started reading Quit Lit. I started listening to the podcast and I Googled, am I an alcoholic? And that is how I found a coach that I worked with. Shout out to Mary Wagstaff, holistic alcohol coach. And I was lucky that I was making money and I could afford to hire her because I do understand people don't have those resources. Although, if we could just give them Women Strong Recovery, it's a lot cheaper than going like inpatient. The recovery industry is $1 trillion industry. That's 12 zeros. Yeah. And what she taught me was basic life skills. Like when my phone rang and I get calls in this industry, I talk to people 7 o'clock Friday night, 7 o'clock Saturday night, 8 a.m. Sunday. I just got a call now. Someone needs a pre-approval, so I need to hustle back to the office and get to work. But she taught me to change my thinking. So when I would get a call, instead of being overwhelmed and nervous, being like, this is not a problem. This is how I help people. This is how I make money. And she had asked me a question, what do I really want when it came to alcohol? And I didn't know. I thought what I wanted was to drink without consequence. And I think so many people try moderation before they get to the point where you're Googling, am I an alcoholic? So I worked with her for a year while I was still drinking, but I was drinking a lot less. And it was hard to tell people that I didn't want to drink anymore because it's so ingrained in our society. Like in my family, when we get together, we drink. At funerals, you drink. At celebrations, you drink. Even the year that I was going through the coaching, I'd tell my husband, who's amazing, by the way, he asked me out when I had 2 kids that weren't mine. We met when I was 19, wild woman, and reconnected when I was 22. But even he would be like, it's Friday night, have a margarita. And I'd be like, Dan, I am seriously trying not to drink. So I had been on, I don't know if you've heard of Laura McCowan. She's a Boston transplant that wrote a book called We Are the Luckiest. And she runs a sobriety community called the Luckiest Club. And so I joined that, and it's people from all over the world Zoom in, and they have great groups for all different types of people. So you can kind of go with your people and talk about the issues you particularly face. And I saw one woman on the little square that I knew through real estate. She's an attorney, and I remember being so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, she's going to know I'm on here. Well, she was thinking the same thing. Yeah. So we've since become friends, and we joke about who reached out to who first. But in meeting her, I started going to lunch with her in 2022. So it took me years. And I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but okay. It took me years.
We'll go back
to think about not wanting to drink, to read about it, to learn the science about it, to think about my why, like what in my childhood made me want to do this, and what in all the responsibility on me at a young age piled on to make me want to, and then the work nonstop make me want to use alcohol as an outlet. And I'm not embarrassed about it now. I mean, people have so many bad habits: the scrolling on the phone, shopping, posting way too much information on social media. People have a lot of different ways of coping with the hard world we live in. So I saw Allison, and I was able to not drink for a while. And then I went to a destination wedding, crashed and burned, and drank the whole summer. Saw her again, and she was like, I really think you should try this 90-day challenge through the Luckiest Club. And at that point, I was ready. And after a few years of thinking about not drinking, working my sober muscles, which means doing things sober, which is eye-opening when you leave like a concert or a sporting event, at how hammered people are getting in their cars and driving home. It's actually horrifying. I was able to give up alcohol. And in hindsight, I wish I had done it sooner for my foster kids or my own kids, but now is the healthiest and happiest I've ever been. I honestly don't have any desire for alcohol, and I want to let everyone know that that is possible. I did not think it was possible to like eliminate the desire. I had people say to me, if you don't go through AA, you'll never get sober. There's so many different things that work for some people and not for others.
Yeah. And what was the difference? You said at 20 you stopped, right? And
I didn't stop drinking.
You didn't stop drinking.
I stopped all the other bullshit.
Okay. And so it was this relationship of, did it feel like more controlled?
Yeah, I drank a lot less.
Yeah.
So my habit, probably out of loneliness, was like going up to bars and then hanging out with people that rode motorcycles and drank. And once I got like really tired of that behavior, I was still drinking, but a lot less.
Yeah.
And long periods in between of not drinking.
And I think especially alcohol, because I always say that's my first love, my drug of choice. And I never, would associate it for so long as a problem because it's so socially acceptable, right? It's like everywhere you go and it doesn't matter. Like you said, funerals, you're at weddings, you're at graduations, it doesn't matter. Like,
I just met you. Let's go get a drink.
Yeah, and it's just like a thing you do, or going to get my nails done. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, just the Applebee's, just sitting at the bar, that one drink, which for so many people would be like, that's like weird for you to, I would go by myself, but I never like left. So it's like by myself. So it was like this thing that it was just.
Well, they sold us that as independent women. We can be as successful with a cocktail in our hand. Yeah. And now there's like a problem. There's mommy wine culture. Women are the highest demographic of people turning into alcoholics right now.
Yeah. So as you go through, now you're like having kids of your own. And I know when I'm thinking of COVID, I had already, had a few years under my belt. So for me, I was looking around and I was like, wow, like people do not have coping mechanisms. No. For me, I was so grateful because the world shut down, right? And what happened was, for AA and all these other platforms, we already had the tools and the skills, I think, to shift. Right. We were like, because we were panicked, we were like, we don't want to die, like that was like our hard, like, no for us. Like, if we don't figure out something in the midst of this, our lives are on the line. Right. So was that your like ultimate progression in 2020?
Yes, because I learned embodiment practices. Mm-hmm. I learned silly things like before dogs go to sleep, they do this. They do like a long extra inhale, and like that's the fastest way to get embodied. Yeah. Like I didn't have those tools or coping skills, so I had to slowly build my backpack, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And my coach that taught me that has since come back. We had a podcast She hasn't posted it yet, so we'll see. She definitely goes in a lot of different directions. She's always looking to help people. But she said, I just want to give you credit because she had that backpack because she was always into yoga and whatnot. And she had people that support her. I had to kind of find new friends. I had to start from scratch. I had people that my mother-in-law and my mother were like, you're never going to drink again. So I was building the sobriety muscles, learning to get embodied, learning skills to deal with stressful situations. But it took me years to do that.
Yeah. And when you say sobriety muscles, I've never really, I probably have built them at this point, right? But what is that entail as far as like, what did that coping mechanism start to teach you, and how was that like implanted on you for you to be able to build that up?
A lot of it was the science behind it because I love to read. I had this conversation with my 14-year-old son the other day. I was like, an emotion only lasts 90 seconds. He was like, what? Like learning that if you just sit through something hard, it's going to pass. Learning to get out in nature. The first thing I do every morning is go outside and walk my dog. And I have my phone on me, but I never look at it. I don't listen to anything. Really, they're basic life skills that we have gotten so far away from. We're in a room with overhead lights, working at our computer all day. Like we are not doing the things we're supposed to be doing as human beings in nature. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, what kind of the things that you were being talked through as you were building the sobriety muscle?
An example would be, she'd say, Nicole, when you have a craving for alcohol, try the think forward 24-hour method. So what's going to happen if you drink in 3 hours? What's going to happen in 6 hours? So I didn't drink. I wasn't getting DUIs. I wasn't out doing anything crazy, but there was something inside me saying, this is not working anymore. And I would drink, and then my inhibition switch would go off. I'd eat a sleep of cookies, let my kids do whatever they wanted. So I was able to take a step back and be like, all right, if I do have a drink in 3 hours, I'll be eating junk I don't want to eat. I won't be present with my kids. And at 3 a.m. in 6 hours, I'll wake up, because I always woke up at 3 a.m. And my mother drinks every day, and she sleeps through the night. I am not built that way.
We're not built that way.
So I would always wake up at 3 a.m. and be like, oh my God, I feel like shit. My sleep was always interrupted. And as you age, for most of us, you can't handle alcohol as well. So it's actually scientifically proven that, like, especially if you have the habit of drinking a lot, and then you do that, and then you get middle-aged, and then you've been taking gaps between drinking, you're going to feel really terrible the next day. So ultimately, after like learning those methods of, all right, a craving or an emotion will pass in 90 seconds, sit through it. Using oils, she gave me this oil bottle, which I never really did, but she's like, go in the bathroom and take 5 breaths. She was really holistic, and I've gone more that direction now. But when I first met her, I was like, this chick is weird.
It seems,
Now I'm like, I'll sniff any oil to get me through a stressful time. I don't care. So I would say practicing anything that works to take you out of the urge and desire to drink, whatever works for you.
And when you were having urges, what did that actually feel like in your body? Was you able to start to identify? Because I think that that's a lot of the thing that happens, right? We're just a lot of survival mode, or like not in tuned, not having that autonomy over your body. So understanding what's happening is like, well, that's why we that's why we drink,
definitely,
to mask that. So as you're starting to unmask that, what are the signs that you could start to feel in yourself?
For me, definitely, even just thinking about it, I can feel anxiety. So it would be whether my phone rang and I had to work when I was just trying to feed the kids, and in my job, I have to be on call sales 7 days a week. And I've been like that for 22 years now. So it's, that definitely builds an anxiety, being on call all the time. So I knew that if I drank, it was like an instant dopamine hit. Like I knew how I felt before, how I would feel after. And eventually I just got sick of my own bullcrap. And in answering that urge, and what I probably really needed was a nap, some water,
I visualized like when you said this personality switch, like a light switch going on. So it's like how exhausting
Yes.
that must have started to
The
feel,
thinking about it all
and
the
the
time.
the heaviness of that,
Yes.
of like, I just want to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, and so how do you start to maybe compartmentalize that, Nicole business versus Nicole mom, Nicole
Right.
wife versus Nicole mortgage broker, how do
Right.
you start to maneuver through that as you're gaining these skills? How does that start to look?
I mean, I think I'm pretty the same through all of those things, if that makes sense. I have been told over the years as I've gotten sober, like, you're so calm. So I like this version of me better. I'm more calm in everything I do. I'm not always rushing to get to the next thing. I'm trying to enjoy the moment now. But I would say I'm pretty the same throughout. I'm more, if anything, I've become more the mom I wanted to be, and I have the values I wanted to have. So I still can work, and I think it's important for my kids to see that. But I left banana bread for my son when he gets home from school today because I won't be there. The old Nicole would have never had the capacity to do that, to bake and leave it for him. So I would, and I was always good at what I did. I mean, in the worst of my drinking in 2020, I was like top women originator in the country. I was like 1,019, so not top.
Yeah.
But I was proud of that accomplishment. But I wasn't baking banana bread for my kid. So yeah, the same, but just more present, aware in everything I do.
Yeah.
And the science, I did want to mention Chris Herron. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
The Earth
Project.
Yeah. So for the folks that haven't heard of him, this really resonated with me. And I wish we could tell all our kids this, just like I wish all people could get coaching to learn these embodiment tools so they can learn that they don't have to drink or whatever their thing is, scroll or shop or gamble. But he talks about the first drink. And this really resonates with me. So if I think back to, like, I was a very shy child. I'm not an extrovert. Okay. And when I first tried weed, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah. And for the people that he talks about it with alcohol, like if you have a drink and you're like, this is great. And at the end of the party, everyone else is like wrapping up and you're still wanting to go. That's a sign. Like when I was pregnant with my first son, I drank a ton of O'Doul's. Yeah. That should have been a sign. Like that's not normal behavior. And people were encouraging it. Yeah. And everyone was like, it's not a big deal. It's non-alcoholic. But no, that's a red flag. Like that's not normal. So I definitely share that with my son, like the first drink thing. If some of us are just predisposed to addiction. Yeah.
And that's funny. My oldest is 21. So we always, me and his dad and like his stepmom would joke with him because we're like, you definitely have not.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, you're like, but also I think with him is just like, he's not us. Like he can have a couple of like, I feel like I joke like seltzers, like those new spritzer seltzer things that he's done, and I'm like, yeah, that is not what we were doing. Yeah, and I always say like I went to college with your dad, like, and obviously
school hard knocks.
I never went to college ever, but I did plenty of time on college campus.
Yeah, so, I used to hang out here. I had friends that went to WPI. Yeah, so loved parading around Worcester.
Yeah, so I wonder, you said your son was 14. How you already opening up this conversation, but now how are you shifting in the way that you actually, I think, are your own coping mechanisms and shifting that down to him and your children? What is that look
learning
like?
That.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I think just being a model is kind of the first step. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing. When we do have family get-togethers, generally everyone's much more well-behaved. But we had a wedding last December in Florida, and 2 of my family members got very intoxicated. And my son looks at me and goes, oh, I wouldn't want to be. And he mentioned someone that was with them. I'm like, I know. Yeah. So he's aware and paying attention. But my husband drinks. Yeah. He can have a few beers and be fine. And that's not a problem. Everyone around me drinks. I'm literally the only person that I know in my most of my worlds that doesn't drink.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I have to be careful on that because, like you mentioned, it's normal for your son to have a few drinks, and that's normal.
Yeah.
And now for me, like when my husband does drink, it smells really bad to me. When I step into a bar, I'm like, damn, it is gross.
It's like
here.
in the wood. It's in the green.
Gross. People when they're drunk and they're in your personal space, I'm like, I'm highly triggered by it.
Yeah.
So I don't, it's like telling two horny teenagers to abstain from sex. Good luck. I'm going to tell my son. I had a long journey with doing things I didn't want to do to cope. So you shouldn't even start. That's not realistic.
No.
It's not realistic. So I would say I'm still learning that. But I think talking about it helps. And when I get them like alone in the car, that seems to be a great time to talk about it. And we have someone very close to us struggling hard with alcohol addiction right now. Like probably one of the closest people in my kid's life to them, struggling. So they're watching this journey and say a prayer that he can find his way to sobriety. Yeah. Because I love you.
Yeah. And I think
but it's hard.
I think the best thing we can do is, like you said, we're modeling that. Right now we're modeling new behavior, and it's never too late to start to show that. And I know that because, I came in, I was 30, and I said for my mother, I was like, she was going to be 50, and I was like, yeah, it's not for her. I had a little hope for me. And, I had one of my first sponsors say, you don't know what God has in store for her. Right. You don't know her story. And it's not for you to counter out. And so
and look how amazing she's doing now.
She'll have 10 years. And so I think that it's really important as we are in our own personal past that the modeled behavior is probably the best way to attract someone into what it looks like to abstain from alcohol and how we can shift our lives. And it sounds like you've had, when you talk about being a little softer, we call me and one of my best friends call that the Charmin effect, right? The little bear, the Charmin. So we call each other Charmin. And so it's like, because we're like, we were not.
No,
there was no softness happening. So as you're learning these coping, and I love that you were able to look, you said, of course, you had the means to look for a sobriety, coach at the time, which isn't the case for everyone. I think that's why I do the work that I do, is because for me, I also feel like, well, if nobody's talking about it, how do you know?
Right.
But I'm sure that you have come against, if nobody's talking about this, how do they know? So how have you been able to more authentically move through your recovery and sobriety? And because it's not the traditional way, which we've talked about. And so what has that started to look like more or less as you get more comfortable in your
if you asked me in the beginning, like I had that friend that said, you'll never get sober with AA, come back and say, I was wrong. And it worked. AA works amazing for me, and whatever you did worked for you. But when I was 3 months sober, he asked me to help his now wife, and I was like, I can't. I'm just barely above water trying to figure this thing out. And I felt guilty about that. But the first 3 months, it was like Laura McCowan talks about treating sobriety like an infant. You don't go out of the house when you have an infant. Like, that's your only focus is sobriety. In the first year, I was still embarrassed about it. But by year 1, I was so proud of myself because once you get past the 90 days, oh my gosh, do you start feeling so much better? Like a whole new world opens up. It did for me anyways.
And what did that look like? What did you start to see as you
once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you don't know that until you've walked it. You don't know how amazing it is to have a baby till you hold your baby in your arms. You don't know how amazing sobriety is until you get past that. Most people go backwards, and that's what a lot of the literature says. You go backwards right after the 60-day mark, or you gotta just stick out a little longer. I mean, it looked like waking up in the morning without an alarm clock. I don't need an alarm clock ever. It means having all my ducks in a row. In sobriety, I got a little bit crazy with organizing things. So I got really organized closets and pantries. Not like crazy, but having organization in our lives is so important. So sobriety just gives you the capacity to have your stuff in order, to try new things. I'm taking the beekeeping class right now, to exercise, to not eat the stuff you don't want to eat.
Yeah.
Not that I'm perfect. My outlet was sugar.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. I was like, I will eat as much sugar as I need to just not drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sugar in alcohol. So yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, organization is not my strong, it's not my strong suit. But I would say that finding those things where you're like, okay, how can cause I was picturing like people say like, you think it's like this pink cloud.
Yes.
And so that can feel like that 1 foot dropping, which can also not be true, right? Like, it's just like you're going through these things, you're experiencing different things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just like, oh, this pink cloud, and then that shoe is going to drop, and then that's the end, and you're back at square one.
Right.
So did you feel like you were in that position of like, is this real? Is this
yeah, my journey is a little different than others, like really different. So whatever you're going to do to get help, get it. But my friend Allison, for example, she is still a mentor in that We Are the Luckiest community. Every other Sunday, she runs like a New England group. Once I used that group for what I needed it for, which was logging in and being like, I have an event today. It's an open bar. I'm not going to drink. But I got tired of hearing everyone's like relapse stories, and a lot of people were still struggling, and I felt I had gone to the other side. Like maybe empathy isn't my strong suit. There's a reason I'm not in coaching. I'm a tough love kind of girl, including on myself. So I did have the pink cloud, but not as crazy as other people have it. They describe pink cloud as like everything's perfect, and I felt so great. But what happens in sobriety, you start thinking about all the reasons you drank, all the regrets you have. So it's not necessarily like a beautiful thing, but I don't live there anymore. So for me, I don't log into any of the classes. I don't really participate in anything sobriety aside from what I meant to say earlier and I forgot is on my 1 year anniversary, I posted I was sober. I post it every year on my anniversary. I have my husband take photos with me. And that's the way I share it. And I get a lot of messages behind the scenes. Yeah. And there are people that tell me, I really want to not drink and I don't know what to do. So I give them resources. Yeah. A lot of people seem to be liking Reframe, which is a new app. And then I see people tell me, oh, I'm this much sober. And then they disappear. And I know it's because they're drinking again. So what aligns with me and my personality is sharing that I'm sober, coming on podcasts like this and sharing my journey and the fact that it was not instantaneous. Yeah. My coach, I was actually only supposed to work with for like 3 or 6 months. That's her average client. I was a year. And it still took me a year or two after that to stop drinking. I like learning things the really hard way.
Yeah. Like, how many times?
Yeah.
And I think that's, we have a lot of new information now, right? So they're talking about, it's like this more harm. It sounds like you took a more harm reduction way. So the harm reduction is, I'm not going to go cold turkey. I didn't go into detox. I didn't go into these other things. You slowly took off the layers.
Exactly.
And you walked through on your own pace that felt comfortable. And I think people really need to hear that because everyone's journey is different.
Yep.
Right. And so what is it? Does that sound accurate? Like this harm reduction way of
the way that Mary described it is we don't say we're alcoholics. Right now, if I wanted to, I could have a drink. Yeah. I just choose not to. Okay. I've been there, done that. Yeah. It was a bad relationship I was in. I'm not going back to it. And I practiced so many times trying it to see if it might work for me that time. And one of the things the groups was helpful for was those relapse stories. So as much as I hated them, it's important to hear someone had 5 years and was like, I'll just have a drink. And no, it's never the first drink. It's the fact that you have a drink. And then that weekend you're having a couple more. And then within a month you're drinking every night again. So just not going there in the first place. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely say harm reduction is a good way of describing just slowly not drinking and practicing things, not drinking, practicing getting embodied, practicing where you feel it and why you have a craving, yeah, definitely aligns. And so the fact that I can drink if I want to, I just choose not to. This life is so much better.
Yeah.
Sober, clear-eyed. Maybe not rose-colored glasses, because this world is wild.
Yes.
But definitely clear and present.
Clear and present. And I love it, because I do feel like that for my own journey. I'm like, when I first came in, it was like, that's all I knew. It was a lifestyle.
Yes.
So, and I was kind of pissed, because I was like, why didn't anyone tell me there was a different way to live? Right? Like, there was this other way that I could journey through life.
Right.
With
bitter and angry,
causing more harm to myself and others.
Yeah. I definitely felt that way at times too.
Yeah.
I was mad. I was a foster parent. I was mad I had to get my sisters off to college because my parents left. I was mad I was a foster parent. I was mad I had to spread my kids apart because I couldn't afford 2 in daycare. But living there does not help.
Yeah.
So kind of my father, although he grew up very poor, he always taught me gratitude. And so I think that's one thing that probably helped over the years too, is trying to switch the frame of mind to gratitude rather than resentment.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful way to start to move in this. Like this morning, I have a gratitude partner. And so sometimes she's the only one sending gratitude lists, and I read them and then I, kind of go about my day. And then I remember. And then lately I'm like, you know what? Let me just talk to text, send her a gratitude list real quick for 2 minutes, because the way that we can take for granted.
Yes.
All the things we've
first world problems
never mind the things that we've gained back, it can really take us out of the problem that got us there, right? The reason why we thought that alcohol could be the solution, right? So I love gratitude. And also I would say you're doing a lot of, so the way we met, and I don't know what that first initial meeting was.
I think I invited you because I've been following Keeping Worcester Warm. I love what you're doing. I got into volunteerism. Shockingly, I was at a bar. And someone invited me to join the Lions Club. And so starting at like really young, I don't know. I've been in the club over 20 years and I'll be 45 this year. So in my early to mid 20s, I joined the Lions Club, which is the largest international service organization in the world. And that's where I learned volunteerism and I liked it. And I didn't have a lot of family around here. And they're a lovely group of people and they exist in many towns around here. But I saw Keeping Worcester Warm. I invited you to our networking group in one of the groups I'm in because we were looking to have a nonprofit. And so that's how we first met. You have such a beautiful energy. You're such a great listener. I'm big on vibes. So my tough love, if I don't like your vibes,
then the wall.
We're out. But if I love your vibes, we're good. So you have really good vibes. I did want to say, I have a good friend, shout out Mr. Figueroa. He has a mental health practice called Infinite Wellness. And he said to me, sometime around like 2021, 2022, he's like, it's not normal, right? I was like, what? What's not normal? He's like, the amount that you just go nonstop. Like I didn't really have a choice in my career. It's like make hay while the sun shines. In spring market, we're taking a lot more calls than we are in December. But he's like, that's not normal. And I see you in that with how much you volunteer and you donate your time. I mean, I know I am tired at night. Sometimes I go to bed at 8.
Oh, we don't play about sleep.
Okay, good.
And so you commented that on, I think it was on my LinkedIn, and you were like, girl, do you rest? I was like, I promise I rest, because this is the thing, and this is why I think I draw close to people that are in service work and that understand there's just a certain level, like it really allows you to get out of yourself and think about another person, even in the depths. And I don't know if you had this experience that even in your the height of your addiction, service work was maybe at the core, like it was provided something that you could get out of yourself and think about someone else.
I would say more so now.
Yeah.
That wasn't my outlet. I'm the Lions Club. I can see why it's majority retired people
Mhm.
because it's a big commitment. What I like doing now is taking my kids to like deliver meals on Thanksgiving. They deliver them in one community to where my cousin's mother used to
Okay.
live. She's no longer with us. We deliver on Christmas, things like that.
Yeah.
So I like to pick and choose what I do. I love doing all the drives we've been doing. So we've done Keeping Worcester Warm, Safe Exit Initiative, Fresh Start Bank. But no, that's like kind of like a hobby.
Yeah.
Like it brings me joy and I like doing it, but it's not I don't really have any particular sobriety focused habit, if that makes sense, or way of serving. Yeah. Aside from just being public about it.
Yeah. And I think that is a service in itself, because there are a lot of people that just go about their business and just are trying to make
There's
way.
so many functional alcoholics.
Exactly.
So many.
Yeah.
People I see that are doing extremely well in life. You would never know, but I know from personal messages they're struggling.
And so I think that you still, I wouldn't want you to discount your efforts, because I think that maybe it doesn't feel as if, you're like, I'm doing this thing, but I think you'll be even more surprised the years to come how much work your work is impacting
I could
others.
see that in the future.
I think even now, because for me, I'm like, how did you see, meet me? Like, and, how do you see? And so that's the work that we've done with Keeping Worcester Warm. It's not just me, it's a whole community, it's mutual aid. And that's why it's spread. You see a lot of my face because I'm more vocal, and I'm like out there. So, but there's so many people behind the scenes that they kind of like are like, I don't know how to do it, or I just want to participate in this way or participate that way. And then I have a loud enough mouth that I can be like, okay,
I love it.
You're
a great delegator.
But I think that what you're doing is impactful, because you are being an example to people that will not necessarily know how to step out of their own ways and give to other people that are suffering. And that in itself is a beautiful reciprocal way of being able to keep.
I think you're right, because people do say, "Oh, I saw you were doing this. How do I participate?"
Yeah. It took me a long time to say, example, when they presented me the Trisboro Business Lunch, that is connected to the Westboro Commerce.
Yep, Chamber. Quarter 9, 495 Chamber.
Yes, and shout out to them. And you, because, I'm like 11 years in, and like to get an honor like that, like I felt like, if you see the video, I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. So I know it's as humbling as we want to be. You still take that, like you're doing the work.
I'm doing my part with what I'm comfortable with.
You're comfortable with, and I think that is beautiful, and you're showing, because, and what I'll say is, I've switched to business about 3 years ago. I started saying, oh my God, I got to go into different rooms. Like, Women Strong Recovery is not going to be leveraged by just the recovery community.
Right.
Because I need to learn other skills. I need to find the business folks that are also understanding this other way. And so I started going to rooms by myself. And, it was scary, and it was, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and still don't, but like also having to come in and like just own that, like, and say, you know what, no, I am coming in, I am, figuring it out.
You sound amazing every time you speak,
and
so you're doing an amazing job representing yourself.
I think it takes a lot of, like, kind of other people pouring into you. So,
and you just got to start, just like with sobriety. Instead of bellying up to the bar alone, as independent women.
Yes.
We're doing hard, scary things
together.
and practicing them. Too.
And I think that is a beautiful thing. I think you will bring lots of people into this new way of what it is to just venture out on your own journey and find that, and like create that space.
I could see myself working in the healing arts in the future.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a little sober and bee.
Yeah.
Oh.
AP therapy is a huge thing. You can
You were
breathe in
telling me
the
that.
bee air. You can
The vibration.
the
That's
bed.
new.
I want to have a bed that people can lie in because bees are so vibrationally healthy for us, and everything in the universe is vibes.
Yeah.
And frequency. So yeah, I'm really excited about this hobby. Hopefully I don't run down the street screaming. I'm too vested already.
Definitely wear your suit. My uncle has bees. And even I think maybe through the suit, maybe he's had a couple incidents.
You're gonna get stung, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a total weenie.
Yeah.
I can handle it.
And you're not allergic, so
I don't think so.
hopefully.
Yeah,
we'll find out. We'll find out in a couple months, folks. But I'm excited. So those are your new adventures. What are you doing with your new adventures now?
That's really it. I mean, I kind of covered all the things I wanted to share about where I was, how I got through it, where I am now. The beekeeping's it. I'm a sports mom, so both our boys play sports, and I love being there and watching for them. I would love to get to somewhere with palm trees someday. I'm not built for this winter. This winter almost killed me.
Yeah.
I am moving somewhere warm someday, but I will definitely remain a presence here.
Yeah.
Like be going back and forth, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm on the back nine of the mortgage career. I put so much of my heart and soul into it. I'm 100% in right now. But that kind of 7 days a week is not sustainable for the rest of your life. So yeah, maybe you'll see me totally into the bee thing in 5 years. I don't know.
I love that. I love it. More bees, more
less
honey,
phone calls, less urgency and drama and stress.
Yeah.
And I do love helping people, but it's very stressful and it's very emotional. So I'm best equipped to help people now than ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the idea of no deadlines and maybe just laying in Shavasana. Can we spend our time that way?
On a bee bed.
On a bee bed.
On a bee bed.
Yes. There's no phones allowed in here. Shavasana only.
So this has been, I think I learned so much. All these new, these different tools that I think these are the conversations that are important to also have. That this is not, it's not one shoe fits all. You don't have to be in a box. You can explore and figure out. So if it's harm reduction, if it's, saying 3 hours, 6 hours, like that is like
play it forward, tape.
Play it forward.
What is going to happen if you make this choice right now with anything?
And understanding your body, starting to understand, what does that feel like? How can we access that in that way? So that's I loved that. Let us know where we can find you. Okay. You talked about first time
home buyer dinner.
So how can we find that information?
www.nicolesloans.com. Okay. And /events is the events page. I'm on Insta. I'm on Facebook. I have an amazing social person. Shout out to Shawan. She's my girl. She makes me look good. I love her. So you can find me on those too. And I would love a follow because Russ Mankson, who is a local marketing guy, I'm going to introduce your amazing cameraman too. Yes. A few years ago, he was like, you have to be on Instagram. I was like, I don't want to. He's like, you have to. Instagram. Yeah. So I'm newer there and trying to grow.
Okay. So follow Instagram.
Thank you.
Follow our Instagram, Women Strong Recovery, What's Up Worcester. We're all on the socials. I think it's a big way to get these conversations out and to just be able to pour into each other. And so
we're all in this together.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for pouring into me and all you've given me in probably a year. And I think that this conversation is going to give someone something special too.
It's been my honor and pleasure, Jackie. Thank you.
All right, that's it.
Yay. Oh, you're a doll.
So that's it. What's Up Worcester? Again, like, share, comment. This is a nonprofit. So this work is, helping reach different, ends of the world. And we hope that happens for you too. So thank you. Bye.
Peace.